welcome back to the Greater You. Finally not on my bike for one of our videos, which is kind of rare lately, right? We are in office today, but we've got some big questions to consider. You can see here on my screen share today, our visual, that we're talking about the big questions. It is January, it is a fresh start. Every day is a fresh start. Our most recent video, we talked about, that we're looking at what is most important to you. We're trying to help all of our viewers to really think about their goals in a more deep and meaningful way. We all know that New Year's resolutions are basically a setup, right? They don't tend to work. And there's a lot of reasons why. And some of these questions, though, I think are worthy of looking at. And they really should be questions that we review on a regular basis against the backdrop of our core values, the principles we live by, what's most important to us, that kind of a thing. That is one of the questions itself. So let's talk about some big questions today. And I want you to think about these against the backdrop of your own desires going forward, what you would like to see manifest in your life over the next number of months or year or multiple years, even over the next week. Certainly, we want to remember that age-old advice of learn from the past, live in the present, plan for the future. If we become hyper-focused on any one of those things, then we become mindless. A truly mindful person learns from their past, lives in the present, and observes and plans for a good future. We want to have good trajectories, right? If we are only living in the present moment without any sort of plans going forward, we might find ourselves wandering off and wondering how we got there. So it's okay to have all three of those things be a part of our planning process and our goal setting and to be balanced with it. Clearly, the present moment, the here and now, is our actionable part of our life, and it's where we can actually do something with these questions. But these questions do have a tendency to get us thinking about where we've been, where we're at, and where we'd like to be. So a few big questions to consider, and I recommend doing some writing about this or pondering about this while you're driving along, however you're listening to this or watching this video. First one, if you could have, do, be, or experience anything, what would it be? And when you're thinking about big questions, don't place limitations on them at first. Certainly, at some point, you need to say, hey, okay, so what are the realities around this? How do I make this happen? But when we're really brainstorming and thinking and digging deeply into, what is most important to us, it's better to have these questions asked without a lot of limitation. So if you could have, do, be, experience anything, clearly we know in the realm of positive psychology and the research that many researchers have done on what brings happiness, having stuff doesn't bring long-term happiness like experiences do. Experiences, we can always reflect on those, repeat the experiences, or go and have new experiences. Obviously, relationships that are meaningful have more staying power for happiness. But still, we got to think about, there are things that you'd like to do or experience or become. Think about that first question also as a way of being. What are things that I would love to become and experience so that, these things become a part of my life, right? For instance, you may want to master Spanish or something so you could go live in Costa Rica for a year or something like that. I have a friend that did that, did a year sabbatical down there and had an amazing experience, right? So think about those types of things. When you're asking these big questions, it's not nearly as much about stuff, possessions, or money. It's more about the experiences that those things can maybe lead us to have. The next question that we did start talking about in our most recent video is what is most important to you? I feel like that needed to be put up on the big questions list for today because that's really important and creates a filter. It's tied into our values and our morals, our internal compass that we help people build or identify or uncover. The things that are most important to you definitely should have a weigh-in on what you're doing with your life and your plans and your goals, right? If the behaviors and the jobs and the things that we're engaging in with the vast majority of our time are not in alignment with the things that are most important to you, probably there's some alignment that needs to be brought into the picture, right? So, what is most important to you? And I do recommend writing with any of these big questions. Take some time to write this stuff down, or at least really give it some good thought. Best to write it though. We are big fans of journaling. Okay, next question. When you're nearing, this is a huge one, when you're nearing the end of your life on this planet here, what do you want to have experienced, accomplished, been, have become? That's really pushing this deep big question to its very limit, right? It's to think about the eulogy experience. What do you want shared at a eulogy about you, right? What is it the legacy? Thinking of that fourth question that you want to be left. What do you want people to reflect on you and think about what legacy you left? What experiences did you want to have in that life that you've lived? We certainly know that lives are temporary, that old impermanence concept that we talk about at times. We're not here forever, right? At best, you get about 100 years. That's not most people, right? Most people get somewhere between 70 and 100 years on this planet, some less. It's an interesting experience, mortality. You never know when your number is going to be called to go to the other side. So, what experiences do you need to have or want to have that are going to make your life feel most fulfilling, that are going to make your relationships most sweet, that are going to build those experiences that will, last long into your memory through your life, and maybe will even echo into that legacy that you're hoping to leave for others. That fourth question, what is your legacy that you're writing daily by your actions and your choices? This is a huge accountability question. These are why these are some of the big questions to consider when you're actually looking at how do I really make my life move in a direction that's more purposeful, meaningful, and significant. What's the legacy that we're writing daily? If we're spending too much time, with the doom scroll thing going on for hours at a time, or Snapchatting for a young person, or Facebooking if we're a middle-aged girl person, like if we're just kind of scrolling and doing and bebopping along and not really living intentionally, is that the legacy that we want to be writing on a daily basis? That irreplaceable thing called time cashes out every day, right? There's 24 hours in a day. Some people argue it's a man-made construct. Regardless, it's a thing, right? Our bodies do age, and time does seem to pass. What legacy are we writing by our actions and our choices? Are we taking the actions and making the choices that are in alignment with what is most important to us, with the stuff that really matters? Now, none of these questions I'm not posing any of these questions as a means to cause anyone to feel guilty or shameful. These are questions I ask myself on a regular basis. These are the big questions, a few of them. There are other bigger questions out there too. But I think the purpose of this is to get you thinking about these against the backdrop of the goals that you're setting for this year and beyond. Even if you don't start your goal setting in January, if you start in June, if you start in July or next year or whenever, these are good reference points to get you moving in the direction that's going to make your goals really more meaningful. So people don't follow through with things that are really unimportant to us. We lose interest in stuff that doesn't really hold value for us outside of, we're not talking about addictive behavior. We're talking about, people that are trying to live intentionally. Things need to be important to you for them to keep your attention. And then you've got to work hard to build habits and all that kind of stuff around it so that you can really move towards those things that are most important to you. A good final thought on this rule of thumb is that once you've mapped this out and you've got some answers here, let us know. Our coaches can help you boil this down. You're going to come up with lists of stuff. If you're really savvy with it, you might boil it down on your own and be like, whoa, I don't want to overwhelm myself and have a list of 50 things here or 100 things. But you do definitely want to boil it down. Our coaches are really great at helping with that to help you kind of filter through this stuff so you're not bogged down. The goal with all of these questions is to come up with a very concise list of no more than 5 focuses that you would have that govern your life. Out from those 5 focuses, we train people to build their goals and their daily actions and habits to incorporate those 5 focuses. And that is what we find that makes people's lives really in alignment and helps them to feel like they're living significantly. And that's what this is all about, right? Is to make our lives more meaningful, happier, more significant, right? It's less about the pursuit of happiness and it's more about living a happy life now. But we do that by doing that which is most important and making our goals in alignment with that. Okay, so like this video if you liked it. There's a lot to think about. These are big questions. I'm going to recommend writing some stuff down on this. We'd love to hear your comments on it. And we will be back with more on these big questions and this goal setting process that we take people through as we move forward into January and into this year. Take care, and we'll talk to you soon.